Holy shit.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Left Side, Strong Side. I'm Chance Ellison, next to my co-host, like Mike Deacon. And you know what? This is a rarity on this show. You know why? This is a week where absolutely none of us are going to be happy. None of us want to talk football this week. That includes our special guest this week. You know this dude. He's a good friend of mine. You knew from the Schmodown. It is Mr. Nick Harley. Nick, so happy to have you on right now, man.
Happy to be here. Well, I mean, I could be happier.
None of us are happy. None of us are happy to be here. That's right. None of us are happy to be here. Now, getting into why, Nick, something we ask all our guests. We want to know where your football fandom lies. I know this, and in case the audience doesn't, I'm gonna give y'all a really good hint.
You are a factory of sadness.
Yeah, I am a diehard season ticket holder, unfortunately, this year, Cleveland Browns. And it has never been more complicated and more just dirty feeling to be a Browns fan this year with the whole Deshaun Watson situation, which I'm sure you'll want to discuss at some point. So I will I won't get into all of my feelings on that now, but it's been hard.
Like, as of right now, you can still root for the Browns because you got Kobe's backup Brisket under center.
Yeah, I mean that's been a part of why I've been able to watch the team and sort of root for the guys that I've already.
We should have brought you back for week 13, though. Like this.
We fucked up on this one.
Yeah, there definitely is something dramatic happening in the future. Which, yeah, I mean maybe we will speak again, but I think this season, I've just been trying to focus on the guys on the team that I've already have established sort of fandom for. I don't think I'm ever going to stop being a Cleveland Browns fan or having some sort of interest in it, even when I'm disgusted and even when I feel like I am like a morally bankrupt person for giving the team my money to be a season ticket holder this year. And as I look ahead in the future and I don't feel good about the decision we made, even if the guy that we had just traded for was not a sex pest. So it's just really complicated being a Browns fan this year. And on top of everything, they've just been incredibly frustrating to watch all season long.
Which is funny because we had Dan Nye on a few weeks ago. He also grew up a Browns fan and he said a lot of the same things.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, I'm such a large fan that it was, putting them behind me this entire season, not watching the team I wouldn't have been able to do.
That's where your fandom lies. I mean, look, you survived Johnny Football, you survived Tim Couch.
I mean, yeah, but in those years, it's like I can have pride in my sort of the masochism that I'm putting myself through. Like I can,
that.
Yeah, like I feel like it's that gritty Cleveland thing where we don't win and that builds character. This year it's like. This year you can't. I don't even have that feeling. Like I don't feel proud. I don't have that weird, like false sense of like, well, this is my team, and I ride and die with these guys because I don't love the choice, the moral choice that they made, and I think being an NFL fan in general is like we've all decided to check some part of our brain at the door in our moral stance. And I don't mean to ruin a football show with this.
No. This is all part of it. This is all part of it.
Yeah.
I understand as a Jets fan when they signed Michael Vick right after he got out. So, I get it.
Yeah. And
no, Michael Vick did play for the Jets, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
briefly, he did.
In the Michael Vick case, though, it's like he served his time,
Right. Exactly.
And I do believe in, like, we have to give people a chance to change. If they are convicted of a crime and they serve their time, it's like I don't have to like the person, but I think I can respect someone trying to build themselves back up. And Deshaun Watson's case, he has not really suffered the right consequences in my eyes. Yeah, it's just hard to stomach. Like,
That's fair.
and as I don't plan on attending games this for the rest of this season in which Deshaun will be starting at quarterback. I will be selling my tickets, and I'm not supporting that.
I think I saw a video where just like it's like just talking like as a Browns fan, like someone like making a joke video like as a Browns fan finding out about the Watson signing, just like they said like, are my morals worth a Super Bowl ring?
Right.
Yeah, they're not, like, like there are a lot of things that I would sacrifice for a Super Bowl ring. I would put the Guardians and the Cavaliers at the altar and have them be bad for 10 years consecutively, bottom of the league for a Browns Super Bowl. I really would, because I love all three teams. Like I'm a Cleveland sports fan in general, but that being said, I mean, we are a Browns town, and there is one team that has given us the least, and still somehow we care about them the most. It's really it's like a Stockholm syndrome. It's really bad, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the actual week of actual games that were played, we do have something else to talk about. Today, actually, the Hall of Fame semifinalist list was released. And we have the whole list of the preliminary list of the modern era players who are currently up for a spot in the Hall of Fame. Some notable names on this list: you got Jared Allen, Rodney Barber, and Anquan Bolden, Dwight Freeney, James Harrison, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Robert Mathis, Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, Hines Ward, DeMarcus Ware, Ricky Waters, and Reggie Wayne, among others. So, guys, looking at this list, we'll go around the table real quick. Anybody in this list you feel should make this list, or anybody that you like really, really want to make this list? You don't have to do the same thing.
Who I really want is going to be blatantly
I know who you want.
Yeah, Darrelle Revis, obviously. But no, I think like the player that sticks out to me as like should get in for me. There's just so many good, worthy players, but Devin Hester. How is this guy? He should have gotten in immediately.
Like arguably the greatest return man of all time. Surprised he's not gotten in yet.
I mean, it's only his second ballot, if I'm not mistaken. So, but like. He is the best that ever played his position. How did he not get in the first time?
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. It's like as the game sort of progresses and the kickoff rules change, the return position becomes sort of more, I guess you could say more relevant, but at the same time, it's like the specialists are more appreciated because if you are a good return person, it really does stand out now more than ever. That being said, I don't think that there are going to be a lot of returnman resumes that will get them into the Hall of Fame in the future unless those players already play like wide receiver or running back or something and have that on their resume as well. So somebody like Devin Hester is sort of like it's a dying breed, man, and we should honor it while it's around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another person for me, I mean, not to harp on Cleveland and anything, but I think Joe Thomas is a full first ballot Hall of Fame offensive lineman. Missed his consecutive snaps streak is sort of unreal. I don't have the figure in front of me, but yeah, they're even on teams that were bad, even on teams that were completely irrelevant at 0-16. It was pretty much widely known that Joe Thomas was the best tackle in the NFL. And the guy's a first.
I do have the number right here: 10,363 consecutive snaps.
That's yeah. So just the portrait of consistency and also just a stand up guy and has really proven to be pretty adept at being an analyst on NFL Network, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Joe Thomas take some sort of big commentary type gig in the near future.
And I think he will get in. Like Joe Thomas is one of the better tackles of his era, so I think he'll get in at some point. If not this time, he'll definitely get in eventually. the one I want desperately to get in. It's a very personal pick for me, but it's Hines Ward. I think Hines Ward is one of the more underappreciated receivers of his era. Dude had compiled I think 12,000 yards throughout his career. 2 Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl MVP. The dude was, again, he was like a very sleeper pick. Problem with Ward is he's always had the misfortune of being in the same class as better receivers. Like, even looking at this list,
this wide receiver class is insane that we're looking at. The list of wide receivers on here, I don't even know who I mean, Torrey Holt, I think, is probably going to get the nod because of how many times he's been on the ballot. So that's my educated guess.
And
I think
deservedly so. Yeah.
Reggie Wayne deserves to be a Hall of Famer.
Andre Johnson, how do you not put Andre Johnson in?
I mean, Reggie Wayne is hiding out on this list. Steve Smith Sr., someone that personally never been a fan of Steve Smith Sr., but by design, the guy plays the game of football as sort of this heel, which it is also something that is you don't see as much now in the NFL. Someone that's really embraces kind of being.
My dad actually got a pick off of Steve Smith Sr. when he was in college.
That's crazy, yeah. So somebody that I think has definitely had an impact on the game, and a guy that a lot of I think modern current wide receivers probably look up to in some fashion.
Other one that I'd like to see make it, Patrick Willis. I feel
he's going to get in. It maybe not right away, but there's no way Patrick.
Well, he was first ballot. He was first ballot last year. This is his second time on it.
He's got a legitimate
career that was just tragically cut short. And it was on his own accord. But he's retired out of nowhere. What the hell? And he's one of the best linebackers of his era.
Yeah, Will Fork is another guy on here that just what a run in New England, and then continued to have success after leaving Belichick, and just a guy that I think was really tough, a menace on the
mountain of a man.
So okay, this is a quick one. Quick two I'll throw out, then I'll ask the next questions. The other two, Rodney Barber. I really loved Rodney Barber. He's an excellent player. James Harrison. Again, Pittsburgh fan, but the dude was prime. Jim Harrison was unblockable. He was incredible to watch.
Yeah, he was a constant source of pain for me.
I'm sure.
And Dwight Freeney. Now, I'm going to ask this question around. Well, who do you think on this list? Who is the most likely? Who's the biggest lock to make the Hall of Fame on this list?
On this ballot?
Yes, on this ballot.
On this year?
Yes.
I think Thomas, honestly, just because there isn't a lot of other representation at offensive line on this list. I think the only other person is Jari Evans on here.
Willie Anderson on the list.
Oh, yeah. I just think.
But you picked Joe Thomas first out of them.
Yeah, and I think, I just think that he has been a great representative of the league, Man of the Year award winner. So I think the league, there's sort of a club of guys that toe the league line and promote the league in a certain way that I think they'll want to honor. And so I think Joe Thomas would be my pick.
Mike, what do you got?
This is tough to say an outright lock out of everybody in this draft class. I'm gonna say honestly, I'm gonna double down and say I think Torrey Holt. It's just it's the legacy that he's been up for it so many times. I think he's gonna get his due this year.
For me, the biggest lock is, I'm not just saying because you're here, but I think it's Darrell Revis.
I didn't want to say that, but
Island baby,
Revis Island baby, dude is
probably the headliner.
Arguably the best corner of his era, and the only reason the Jets were competitive for several years.
Look, it's one of those guys too that his impact on the game, he was just this larger than life sort of personality. And I love when players sort of create this reputation. And for a cornerback to be cocky, it's the hardest position in the NFL, I think. And
by far, especially transitioning from college to go into corner, that's by far the toughest position.
Yeah.
And it's crazy though. He's so good though, legitimately, I think that he might be the quote unquote headliner of this class. And it's wild because he's actually, for those who aren't aware, he's actually getting his jersey retired this upcoming Sunday. So
is he really?
Oh, very cool.
Big week for Revis.
Yeah, man. You still see Revis jerseys all over New York.
Still have one.
Yeah, I mean, that might say more about how the Jets have been in the time since Revis was on the team, but yeah,
what
man.
he meant to the team, what Joe Thomas meant to the Browns, Revis for those first few years. I mean, Revis was also a pain in the ass when he went up for his contract renewal. If you remember that Hard Knock season, he was gone until the last day of training camp. So he was a pain in the ass, but that also kind of makes his legacy even bigger.
Yeah, I think like I was saying, it's like it takes a lot to sort of be that larger than life personality and you're at risk every game to sort of make yourself look like a fool or give up a big play and sort of when you talk shit, like as we know from the Schmodown a little bit, like Chance, like when you talk shit, you got to back it up because if you're a shit talker and you don't win, then it's sort of meaningless.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So I just love the guys that sort of put themselves out there for that sort of criticism and they just deliver every single time. Was such an exciting player.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the actual football that was played this past week. For this Thursday night game, we got the Titans versus the Packers. The Titans are looking to maintain supremacy in their admittedly weak division. Packers are looking to really bounce back. Did one of them do this? Yes, and that was the Titans.
Yeah, well, this game actually it was low scoring, but this was actually more of a case than a lot of the other Thursday night games where it was actually pretty good defense being played on both sides of the ball in this game.
It was.
So we've seen some games that just had atrocious offense, which we're going to talk about one later that's like that. But this game was a case of who's going to break first, because they were both bending but not giving up big plays until the second half, and then of course things did shift. But the Packers on this game, obviously the biggest takeaway for them over the past, because they played Sunday and Thursday, is they finally figured out whatever it is with Christian Watson finally clicked, and he's becoming a touchdown machine.
5 touchdowns within a span of 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you guys hinted on something that's right here, that this was like a defensive battle, and that's how the Titans are going to win football games.
Yeah.
And you have arguably the best running back in the league.
That's true. Yeah, they play a hard-nosed version of football. It's I hate to keep relating things back to the Browns. It's very similar to sort of the team that the Browns wish they had, but they don't quite have the defense that the Titans have. The defense that the Titans are running right now with Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, former Detroit Lions head coach, is now a special assistant, and they are running one of the most modern defenses in the NFL. They're doing the wide 9 defensive line standpoint. So they're splitting their defensive linemen way out. They're leaving this huge running lane in the middle of the field, and they're allowing their opponents' interior offensive linemen to go out and block the linebackers. And the thing that is winning them these situations is that Zach Cunningham, their linebacker, is an absolute monster. He's like a Teddy Bruschi throwback, just dude hits and can tackle so they're running that wide 9 up front, and then they're running their cornerback sets are also just highly modern. You have to stick a guy in the box to support that wide 9, and their safeties are coming up and making plays. And I just think that, like you said, Chance, it's a really weak division, and I think the Titans are going to be cruising to another division.
Well, the thing about the Titans is their offense and their defense, the way they ran, it translates usually translates really well to playoff football.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, again, we've seen this movie before. We know what Tannehill does in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this movie time and time again, but they'll at least get him a ticket to the dance.
Well,
and in case Tannehill goes down, they got the real QB1, Derrick Henry, thrown for a touchdown.
Yep. And the other thing I was going to mention too, Treylon Burks definitely stepped up and made himself. He announced himself on Thursday night.
This is by far and away the best passing performance the Titans have had all year.
Yep.
Yeah, if Ryan Tannehill can sort of be that guy for them every week, and that's where the question lies: is like, can he be consistent? But if he can be that guy for them week in and week out, they're going to be a scary team to meet in the playoffs just because of how physical they are. And Mike Vrabel, I think, is one of the best head coaches in the league. I think he's like tenacious. I feel like that team is sort of bought in on his style, and I would love to have that guy on my sidelines. So
yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so and we have like I mentioned. With this game, Derrick Henry is officially the first running back this season to break 1,000 yards.
Yep.
All hail the king. Moving on to our Sunday slate, first of which we got to talk about two franchises who desperately try to hand each other the win.
Yeah.
The Bears versus the Falcons. I give a lot to say about both teams. Justin Fields has to be almost joyously infuriating players right now, because like he'll have like this great game and then he'll have one moment where you're just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, Justin Fields is it's just decision making, like you said. Like he is extremely athletic. He can make
plays. He's doing everything to carry this Bears franchise back to relevance.
Yeah, he really is, and it's just if he can sort of, like you said, if he could cut down on those plays where you're scratching your head and you're like, what were you trying to do there? He could be something. He could make this team really exciting. And there's some cool pieces on the team on the Bears that I think are going to be names that we'll be talking about a lot more maybe next season.
Yeah, Cole Kmet definitely is starting to step up a little bit. Darnell Mooney it took him half a season. He was somebody who has had a lot of hope at the beginning of the year. Finally is starting to click a little bit. The biggest issue with them, it's not on their offense. It's obviously the other side of the ball. Their defense can't stop anything. They let the Falcons run wild on them, and the Falcons struggled against Carolina a week ago. So that tells you everything you need to know about the Bears defense right now.
And a big part of the game was both special teams. Like Cordell Patterson had a 103-yard kickoff return, which gives him the record for most career kickoff returns with 9 in his history.
Yeah, we have to bring up the Kyle Pitts injury. Headed to the IR. Surgery is likely. I think it's an MCL.
MCL.
Yeah, that really sucks, man. All season long I've been thinking, someone needs to get Kyle Pitts out of there. This guy is just, not developing and sort of being stifled by this.
Oh yeah, like for some reason, like they have this like incredible like generational tight end that they're not using.
He's not in the scheme at all.
He's just hidden, I just felt so bad for this guy all season, and now this, so it's just really unfortunate. I wish that dude a speedy recovery because, like you said, he's sort of a complete freak and should have been what sort of Darren Waller had been the last couple seasons, maybe not so much this year, but
he's hurt most of this year. So,
that's sort of the tip of the ceiling for this dude, and it's been a shame to see what has happened to him.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to like really just question the Bears again. I know they just traded like most of their good players except every good player except Ajax.
Their defense, yeah.
But still, like you managed to tie the game up. All you have to do is stop Atlanta from getting into field goal range, and Capit's already heard at this point. But you managed to get into range. They didn't get into range where Young Ho Koo can hit a 53-yarder, and it's just a matter of like what failure won out more: Bears failure to Bears failure, Falcons failure. Today was Bears failure. This is a truly heartbreaking loss for the Bears.
The Falcons continuing to win, though, is like I think it's going to hurt their long-term development because Mariota's not their long-term answer at quarterback, but they're going to stick with him until they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Again, and I don't think Does Desmond Ritter give him a better chance to win? He might, honestly.
Well,
He might.
Honestly, Desmond Ritter is a very similar style quarterback to Marcus Mariota. So he fits into the system really well without them really having to change a lot of what they're already doing with Mariota. So I think, like, what are we waiting for? But as you said, they continue to win games, and in their mind, they think if as long as we have a chance, we should play the guy that gives us the best chance to win, and they think that's Mariota right now. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Falcons trying to draft another quarterback this coming year.
Potentially.
Desmond Ritter, I think, is a guy that, look, I liked him a lot at Cincinnati. I thought he was like a scrappy sort of, had that X factor. And I was curious to see how he would develop in the NFL, and we haven't really seen him at all. So I don't really know at this point. He was definitely a project, right? He wasn't one of these guys that was ready to play right away. But at this point in the season, this Falcons team is not very good. They just lost their best player. Let's see what the kids got.
I mean, did they really have their best player? They never used them.
Yeah,
They never used him.
But yeah, before I move on, one more thing. Bears fans.
Oh, you're upset that I'm not calling? Well, you know what, Mom? I'm upset that you made me a Bears fan. That's child abuse.
All right, and now moving on to our next game. The Trilogy of Pain starts right now. First in the chopping block, you got you, Nick.
Oh, come on.
The Browns versus the Bills.
I mean, let's just if the game of football was just each team goes out on one drive and tries to score, the Browns would be the best team in the league, right? They're
great off the opening drive. You're 100% right.
They come out every week, look super good and polished, march right down the field, score a touchdown, and then the wheels come off. Look, I don't know who exactly is to blame at this. I think the offense is surprisingly playing pretty well. I mean, I think one factor in this game that really hurt the Browns, a key moment where the tide sort of shifted, was a fumble because the Browns lost their second string center to an injury mid-game. Bring out the third string center. Obviously, that you're going to have some miscues. A fumbled snap right as the Browns were sort of in the Bills' side of the field, and the momentum swung completely off of that fumble. But other than that, I think last week the Browns weren't able to get Amari Cooper going. They were able to get Amari Cooper going this week. He had over 100 yards, had a good game. The Browns offense is not really where my area of concern is. The defense. The defense is terrible. They're inconsistent. They seem like they're clueless at times.
The fact that Joe Wood still has a job is insane to me.
I don't understand. They can't stop the run, and it's all the way at the top too, because they have the worst defensive line in the NFL. They have guys starting on their defensive line that would not even be on the team of many other teams in the NFL. They have Tommy Togiai is getting minutes on your defensive line. That he hit the quarterback this week for the first time, and it was a roughing the passer penalty. So that tells you all you need to know about him. Yeah, it's just a mess on the Browns defense all around, and the finger pointing is going on. We have players that seem to be speaking in code, kind of directly calling out Joe Woods now for not preparing them or not changing the scheme during the season. But I think the rot comes from all the way from the top. They did not invest in their defensive line, and it has hurt them a lot. They can't stop the run. And they have guys that they were sort of hoping would step up in the secondary this season that have just been inconsistent. So, the Browns are, whether Deshaun Watson comes in or not, I don't think that this is a contending football team. And so now the question becomes, how good is Deshaun Watson after sitting on the shelf now for
almost 2 years?
Almost 2 years. what do we have? If he looks not like the player he was when he was with the Houston Texans, then we have real issues because
Look,
Draft
not
picks.
not that I'm defending Deshaun Watson, but he played with the anchor that was Bill O'Brien in 2020. He still had a pretty great season. So I'm not like, again, if I was a Deshaun fan, I'm not too concerned about it. But still, I do understand that.
I mean, it
What I
is
will say though is the Browns this week look like the complete opposite of what they looked at this entire season, because you could not run the ball.
Right.
Yeah, they were stopping us.
Yeah. You have Nick Chubb, who finished the day with 14 carries for 19 yards. This dude couldn't even get 2 yards a carry.
Yeah,
Nick
it was
Chubb.
absolutely getting stuffed up front, and I think that they were daring us to pass, and we were having some success with it. But you can only. That's another thing is I think that the wide receiver room isn't well equipped. You have Amari Cooper, who is a great number one wide receiver. Then you have a bunch of other guys that are Donovan Peoples-Jones is okay, but then you have rookie David Bell is sort of your third option, and that's not great. The credit to the Bills defense and Josh Allen is someone I think we should talk about. He's got that elbow injury. He started the game off pretty rough. What did you guys?
He did not. I thought he was gonna. I thought they were gonna lose at the beginning of the game. I'm just like, if y'all lose to Zach Wilson, to Zach Wilson and who the fuck they lose?
Jacoby
Brissett and Kirk Cousins within 3 weeks.
Yeah, and one of those things that during the game, Stephon Diggs was really frustrated. Didn't understand why I think he was only targeted one time in the first half.
That's correct.
Yeah, and so they came out in the second half and obviously started feeding them, and look what happened.
But also like they were able to get the ground game going. Both Devin Singletary and James Cook went for 86 yards apiece.
Yeah, the Browns just cannot stop anyone on the ground. It's really frustrating to watch. I wish like I could. I think I've just vented all my frustration to my friends and family throughout the week. That it's hard to get. It's Tuesday already. I'm already on to next week. So I don't know. I think like you said, I think Joe Woods is definitely on the hot seat, and we got to start talking about Kevin Stefanski too. I think he's a great play caller. I think he's a good offensive mind. I just don't know if he has the sort of like leadership intensity. Every week it's sort of this low energy. We'll watch the tape and the faults on. It's the same sort of lines every week when they're losing, and I would love to just see some emotion from the guy. He's sort of like an offensive robot. And I would just love to see a little bit more fire and intensity. I don't know.
You are a factory of sadness!
All right, moving on to our next game. We have a game that was so close to being our upset of the week. The Eagles versus the Colts. Remember all the problem we talked about with the Eagles and their loss to the Commies? Well, we're back this weekend. They're doing the exact same goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm. I think the game plan to beat the Eagles has been put out there. So I think there's going to be a lot of teams who are going to play them the same way the Commanders did. And, the Colts in the first half of that game dominated. They just could not close on anything.
I was watching them just like, oh my God, is Jeff Saturday the GOAT? Are we witnessing greatness about to unfold?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people that are kind of upset about the Jeff Saturday thing, and I don't know where I kind of stand on it. I think a lot of former players, I think, are now sort of the backlash to the backlash is happening, and now former players are sort of supporting and saying that this is really good for these guys that maybe don't, after they're done with their playing careers, don't want to go back to the bottom of an organization and work their way up. They want to just take the experience and be plugged right in where they
go straight to the top.
Yeah, look, I don't know where I stand on that. Really, I would. I see both sides of this, but
No,
yeah,
I'm not upset at the Jets. I was just confused. I'm just like, what you're doing? What? Like,
Yeah, when that news broke, it was just like, seriously, that just what just happened? Like
Jim Irsay is
how
not just.
bad do you want Bryce Young?
Yeah, Jim Irsay's just got some like weird drunk uncle energy, man.
100%.
That guy is an enigma, and what a baffling hire.
But either way, it was nearly working out for them. They were getting close. Now, Indianapolis was dominating for most of this game. They were dominating possession. At one point, they were up by 10 points against the Eagles, but this is where the Eagles got bailed out by one man, Jalen Hurts. Basically, the only reason they ended up winning this game.
AJ Brown was quiet the whole game. You know,
He was
his worst game.
He did have one fumble, so that's part of the reason.
So, and nobody, the loss of Dallas Goedert definitely changed things, both on the offensive line and from the pass catching perspective. Jalen ran the ball more than he had in a while, and they're fortunate that Jalen has that ability to take the game in either direction. But I think that the Dallas Goedert injury is going to affect the team more than you would have thought on the surface level.
Yeah, and I think they have a tough. I think they have a tough matchup this week against Green Bay, a Green Bay team that I think has a lot to prove, wants to get back on track. And it's a Sunday night football game, so I think this is going to be a real. They got by the Colts just barely. They got by the skin of their teeth, but I think this is a real test to see whether the Eagles have legs or not.
They had to rely on the talent of Jalen Hurts to get them past the Jeff Saturday-led 4-5-1 Colts.
Yeah, not great.
No, not a good look. But still, hey, still 8-1, still in a very good spot. Wins a win. Maybe they come back next week looking like again a bona fide world beater.
They're going to be wearing their all black uniforms for Sunday Night Football. They're wearing black helmets for the first time. I'm not a huge fan of when teams incorporate black into their color schemes when it's not already present. It's just like feels like a tired cliche at this point. It's just forced, and every team does it. I'm sick of it. But that being said, I do think that the Eagles look pretty cool in black. So
they do.
I'm about it in this case.
All right, next game we're talking about Pain Trilogy Part 2. Mike, you're up.
All right, let's just, before I rant, I will give credit to both teams' defenses because both Judon is looking like a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate on the Patriots. He's an absolute wrecking machine right now. You cannot discredit him. And the Jets defense just would not allow the Patriots. They let them get small plays, but they wouldn't let them get past the 40-yard line essentially. And the Jets defense and the Patriots defense, both of them played phenomenally. The other side of the ball, in both cases, is a completely different story.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson is the question, right? Like, what do the Jets do about Zach Wilson?
Thank you for bringing that up because Zach Wilson, you are our very first Not Stunks Player of the Week.
It was one of the I'm somebody who watched Mark Sanchez. I watched early Geno Smith. I watched Bryce Petty. Fitzpatrick actually wasn't terrible as a Jet the first year. But I've watched all of these terrible quarterbacks over the years, and I've been a Jets fan my entire life. That was probably the worst quarterback game I've ever watched any New York Jet play.
And the thing is, like, all Florida teams were on a bye this week. You actually get to watch this game, and this is what happened. So we have the stat line for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson completed 9 out of his 22 attempts for 77 yards and was sacked 4 times. QBR of 24.5. To give you a little essence of how bad that is, the Jets had more punts than he had completions.
It's insane.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
There's another stat that came out in the second half of that game. They were only averaging like, I think it was like 2.77 inches per play, not yards.
It was in the second half. Yeah, and again, this is when your defense had 6 sacks in the game. The Jets defense got 6 sacks on Mac Jones, and they couldn't do anything with this game. And they also got benefited by Nick Folk missing 2 field goals. They had everything given to them, and I watched this whole goddamn game for 59 minutes and 52 seconds to have to, with 8 seconds on the clock, watch what happened.
Yeah, I mean, and there's talk, right, that Robert Saleh said that they might not be starting.
They haven't committed.
I'm not committed.
They haven't committed.
I think when asked, like, he literally described the offense as dog shit.
So who do you think comes in at quarterback?
Mike White, baby.
Not Zach Wilson. Is it Mike White?
I think it's going to be Flacco.
It'll be Joe Flacco.
But I suspect it's going to be Flacco because they know Mike White is almost as much of a wild card as Zach Wilson. Everybody remembers the game against Cincinnati, and they're forgetting about the other times he got in, and he didn't play very well in any game other than Cincinnati, and the Cincinnati game is going to just always be remembered. Flacco, at the very least, we know what we're getting out of Joe Flacco. He's a more consistent passer. He's not mobile. He's going to get sacked 5-6 times a game just because he can't move. But he's much better at the 10-yard pass than either of the other two. So,
yeah, at least there are some feel-good stories about the Jets this season. Even though there's question marks at quarterback, I think Sauce Gardner is my running favorite for the player of the, like, my favorite player of the year. Like, just what an incredible we were talking about Darrelle Revis earlier in this game. Like,
the heir apparent.
I mean, I've been to New York a couple times this fall and walking around seeing Sauce jerseys. It's the second coming of Revis Island, baby. Wearing the cheese head and Green Bay. Just this guy's electric, and I can't wait to watch this guy continue to evolve into this larger than life personality in this league.
Yeah, the game of 1,000 pumps was going and going and going. We were at a 3-3 stalemate until the very last 8 seconds, in which the Patriots successfully returned a punt for a touchdown. The first punt return touchdown of the year.
Season. Yeah.
There was a block in the back that was not called, which I think was only done because the refs would rather have that happen than see an ounce of overtime.
I swore this game was going to end in a tie. I thought it was going to wind up 3-3 after overtime, but lo and behold.
But like the biggest story about this wasn't what happened in the game, what happened afterwards. Because when Zach Wilson was asked in an interview if he felt like he let the defense down, and he said, "No."
Way to lose your locker room and your entire fan base. Like anybody who had any faith in the guy on any level, it's just gone.
I think there's a way to answer that, to not fall on the sword completely and still sort of take some responsibility for the way you played.
Justin Fields did that, actually. I didn't mention that earlier. Justin Fields said, I'm sorry to my team. I made the mistakes. We went out there and we went and played our hearts out, and I made a mistake, and that's what cost us the game, and that's on me. That's how you do something like that.
Yeah, look, Zach Wilson, I think, has a lot of things to learn if he's going to be the starting quarterback of the New York Jets, one of the most media scrutinized teams in the NFL. And look, you're going to have to give better sound bites than that, buddy.
I will say, between the two quarterbacks on display here, I would rather watch Zach Wilson than Mac Jones.
Oh, Mac Jones is tough to watch.
Mac Jones, I feel like, could break the record for most completions in a game without scoring a touchdown. Whereas Zach Wilson reminds me of Patrick Mahomes if he played with a blindfold.
I mean, the thing is like Zach Wilson backs up and then rather than trying to find a play, just backs up and like runs in circles. He doesn't move the ball forward at all. He steps back constantly.
Watching it was like a beautiful nightmare.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes is literally the only player that I can think of that has played that sort of what I always refer to as like backyard bullshit type of quarterback.
That it's worked.
In the modern era, yes. In the modern era, yes.
Every
Rob
time,
used to do that all the time.
sure, yeah, absolutely. I just think that like people have learned sort of the wrong lessons from Patrick Mahomes. We expect that to sort of work. The Baker Mayfields, the Johnny Manziels, as I'm, intimately familiar with. These guys, it just doesn't work at this level. You can't be a magician. Like Mahomes is a complete outlier. So, like you're saying, that sort of run around, try to make a play. It does more harm than good sometimes. Clearly, in the case of Zach Wilson and the Jets.
And Zach Wilson can't complete like the throw to Braxton Berrios, where Berrios was wide open about 10 yards from him, and he threw it about 4 feet over his head. Summed up everything you need to know about Zach Wilson.
Oh yeah, the one that was like a screen pass.
Yeah, it was
ran out of bounds.
It was like maybe Berrios might have been like 7 yards away from him, and he threw it 4 feet over his head.
Yeah. I am very much concerned if first of all, let's say the coin is correct because there was a
oh my god, the coin. We have not brought up the coin on the show.
We have not brought up the coin. Have we not brought up the coin? Yeah, there's a fan who did a coin flip for every single Jets game this season.
Oh, that's right.
And
it's 100% accurate.
Every single game has been correct.
Wow.
According to this coin, we're losing in the AFC Championship.
Never doubt the coin.
Wouldn't that be something? When the season began, I was sort of like, one of my good friends is a Jets fan, and I was, we were talking when the Browns and the Jets played it earlier in the season. I was like, don't you guys like kind of want to lose? Like, don't you want to like look at the Bills, look at the Dolphins? Like, you guys aren't going to be in front of either of those teams at the end of the season. Like, don't you guys want to still be rebuilding? And my friend's response was like, no, fuck that. We're done rebuilding. We're sick of that. We're ready to play. We're ready to win. And I disagreed with him at the time. And now I look at the team and I'm like, maybe before you guys lost the rookie running back,
Breece
Hall.
And Elijah Vera Tucker, which, that's just as big.
Yeah, but and with the way Zach Wilson's been playing, if you had a more competent quarterback, if you guys had like someone, like a Jacoby Brissett, really, like somebody that can, or a Ryan Tannehill, like these guys that we're talking about, of guys that are not great but can make the throws when you need them to, and can usually be competent enough to not lose you the game. If you guys had someone like that, the Jets would. A playoff run wouldn't be inconceivable at this point.
There's somebody we're going to talk about a little bit later on who I, at this point, fully expect to be the starting quarterback of the Jets next year. We'll get to him.
I'm sure we will. All right, moving on to our next game. We got, oh boy, I wish we had Babs or Haas on for this one because
oh my God.
LA, your nightmare season continues. Why do I say that? You let Andy Dalton throw 3 touchdowns on you. Andy Dalton.
There's not a team that I want to watch less right now than the Los Angeles Rams. Like, what just a frustrating, inept sort of just bluff. Like, there's just nothing there to really talk about on this team. They might as well just not be playing this year. It's really the sort of the story out of LA this season is that there is no story. This is an irrelevant team.
Yeah,
which is crazy. They won a Super Bowl 6 months ago.
Yeah,
yeah. It's really astounding. But the pieces. Look at all the pieces that were lost. And how do you recover? When you lose key personnel like
not just that, but you lost Andrew Whitworth, you lost Eric Weddle, you lost OBJ. You try to bring in people to fix that. Bobby Wagner's doing all he can. You brought in Allen Robinson to not use him.
Yeah, I don't know Allen Robinson is somebody that we should talk about too, because this guy that we've heard about, that if he could just get out of Chicago, if he could just get a competent quarterback, thrown to him. You know, everyone thought coming into LA that this guy was.
I thought that. I was one of those people. I'm just like, Allen Robinson put up incredible stats with the worst QB play of the past 10 years.
So I thought it was going to be his coronation, and he's just as sort of anonymous and he's not.
They're just not throwing to him.
But it's the same story of what we saw in Chicago with him. It's just this guy is clearly talented, but he's just in a terrible situation right now.
Yeah, not to mention, it's also had the misfortune of Stafford had the misfortune getting his second concussion of the year. So for a large part of the
just get him off the field for it's a lost season.
Yeah, I mean, to come in to save this game, we had Bryce Perkins to try and save the day. It didn't go well. Did not go well.
So, Nick, you mentioned team that you least want to watch. Now, are you aware of what's happening on Christmas Day?
Well, yeah. What's one of the games?
The Los Angeles Rams will be playing the Denver Broncos in what will probably be the absolute worst football game of the entire year.
Because I mean that's the other team, right? You hit the nail on the head. The other sort of legacy quarterback that is having this just season from hell is Russell Wilson in the Denver Broncos. But before we start talking about them, I just want to one thing that I'll say about the Saints is that this team seems to know how to draft these skill positions. Man, Olave is the real deal. And look, as someone that lives in Ohio, I don't really identify as an Ohio State fan, but obviously I take in a lot of it by osmosis. And so obviously I knew this kid was really talented, but wide receivers, usually seem to take a year to figure it out in the NFL. This guy has just stepped up and started contributing right away, whether it's Andy Dalton throwing him the ball, whether it's Jameis Winston, he's legit. And if Michael Thomas can't stay on the field healthy, they've got another option now, which is
stay on the field. He can't get on the field.
He hasn't been on the field. Yeah.
That's what I mean, though.
And because he played this year, but he's played 3 games in the last 2 seasons.
It's not much. Last year he missed the whole season.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, LA again. Your nightmare is continuing, and again, like I said last week, worst part about LA is they can't rebuild anything. They have no picks.
They have no picks, and today they dropped Jarrell Henderson. So, that's going to solve problems.
Yeah, good job. A plus.
Yeah, what's a landing spot for? I mean, that's a guy that another team will definitely scoop up.
He's a running back needy team right now.
That's the issue. Is running back. There's nobody has had a dire injury. I
could see a Houston potentially. I know that
just picked up Benjamin.
You know what? Maybe Denver. Maybe Denver. We'll get to why later. Maybe
there's some squads that are not great. Like Baltimore is maybe another one that I could see.
This would be the 6th running back Baltimore's taken this season. If that happens.
But so he'll land somewhere. I mean, that's kind of I don't understand that necessarily, but. The Rams completely baffling. I've never I can't think of a team in modern history that sort of won the Super Bowl and then fell off this hard.
Because even the Eagles waited a couple years to fall off the way they did.
Yeah.
Rams.
Bad. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, the spirit of Detroit is haunting Matt Stafford. Let's talk about the actual Detroit Lions.
So this was my original pick for upset of the week up until the game that we're calling the upset of the week happened. What happened? I know everybody expected the Giants to, kind of come back to earth, but the Lions have done this 3 weeks in a row now. They have been a scrappy team. They've been a scrappy team the entire time, but they're figuring out how to not screw things up at the end now, which is, if they can keep doing that, Jamal Williams is all of a sudden is a touchdown machine at this point.
Which, yeah, we're talking about it. Jamal Williams currently leads the league in touchdowns.
Isn't that insane?
And 7 of the 12 touchdowns have been from a yard ounce.
Yeah, the Lions are actually like a lot of fun this year. I always am one of those guys that makes the mistake of watching Hard Knocks and then like getting really invested in the team that was on Hard Knocks and believing not all the time, right? There are some seasons of Hard Knocks where you go,
Like,
oh, well, this is bullshit. But there was something about this group in Detroit. There was something endearing about Dan Campbell, even if he is a little weird and
I love him.
yeah, even if you got one butt cheek or whatever it is that he said.
No, yeah, all the lines is like, I don't care if you have one ass and 3 toes, I'll beat your ass. Like, what? Huh?
But they're gritty and they got heart. And Hutchinson, is that his name? The
Aiden Hutchinson, yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, defensive rookie of the year. Maybe like just a complete like hit on that pick. Like
100%.
Just came in and has created an impact right away. Like just a really exciting player and someone that they can build their defense around.
And now they've also got the other rookie, Jameson Williams, probably not Thursday, but they're saying potentially next week will be in the starting lineup. So that'll be interesting to see. I said from the get-go, beginning of the year, if he was healthy, he would have been my offensive rookie of the year by far. It's just unfortunate that his injury happened in the national champion, happened right at the end of the season, because this was a top 3 draft pick if he was healthy.
No, yeah, 100%. Or, well, it's close. He would definitely been top 10 had he been healthy. But, yeah, the Giants, on the other hand, well, first of all, Daniel Jones did not come out to play. Now Danny Derps has returned in its full glory.
Look, we all knew that the Giants were going to turn into a pumpkin here
at some point.
Yeah. It's just Daniel Jones can only take you so far. And I think this Giants team was outperforming expectations week in and week out. I have another friend who's a Giants fan, and just he seems to be stunned that they've gotten as far as they have at 7-3. Partly the NFC is kind of
not good
show this year, and so that has something to do with it. But yeah, I don't think anyone expected them to get as far as they have, and now sort of the seams are starting to show.
And again, like the biggest issue the Giants have had all year has been wide receiver. Now Wan'Dale Robinson's gone too, so it's Darius Slayton and
that's it. That's
Richie James, I guess.
Yeah, and so it's I definitely feel for the Giants in that way. That the wide receiver room is just
it's the worst in football.
It's pretty depleted. I think they got Sterling Shepard back, but sort of over the hill, but still sort of a veteran presence and a little bit sure-handed. So maybe somebody that can help out, but
it's bad.
Yeah. But we do need to talk about the big story of this game. Kenny Golladay caught a pass.
Yeah. It was the Kenny Golladay revenge game, so it had to happen.
It had to happen. Too bad they didn't win the game. But yeah, Detroit is now on a 3-game winning streak for the very first time since 2017.
Good for them.
For the first time in who knows how long, I think Detroit has a team to sort of be cautiously optimistic about. I think
they've got a foundation.
They definitely have a foundation, right? It's whether they can now expand upon it and have another good draft and sort of if some of these other guys start coming along. But I really like as a few of the guys that we've already identified, I really like some of the pieces on this Detroit Lions team. And Dan Campbell is sort of, I was talking about what Kevin Stefanski lacked earlier when we were talking about the Browns. Dan Campbell is sort of the polar opposite, whereas maybe the brains aren't there, but damn, does that guy got the heart and and motivates his players to go out there and run through a wall.
Exactly.
Detroit is now 4-6. They have already won more games than they did last season, and as of this very moment, the Rams pick they got from the Stafford trade is now more valuable than their own. So
Go
yeah, keep
figure.
all that fun. Speaking of cats playing ball, let's go and talk about the Panthers versus the Ravens.
What a terrible game.
I'm talking about games that were slogs. Holy shit!
Yeah,
Watching Lamar Jackson this game was fucking miserable.
Yeah, I mean, what do we think is going to happen with Lamar Jackson and this Baltimore Ravens organization? Like they have not reached a deal.
They're gonna
He's
they're
getting
gonna
franchised.
franchise tag him.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you he will not play on the tag. There is no way Lamar Jackson plays on the tag.
There really seems to be like a lack of. There's something missing. There's a spark missing from Lamar this year. It seems obvious when you see him on the sideline.
He was great at the beginning of the year, but then he just fell a fucking mountain. I don't know what happened to him.
And he's the kind of guy who in the past has done what Justin Fields essentially is doing, but better, where he was able to carry the team on his back when they didn't have anything. The injuries on that team, they're decimated on offense. They are really
the injuries are really been piling up for them.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild to watch from an outside perspective. As a guy that has sort of an interest in their
how they do,
but just to see how they refused, or like they keep trying to put these playmakers around Lamar Jackson, and they just cannot stay on the field. These guys, they either something happens where they get traded and moved for some reason,
a la Marquise Brown.
Yeah, a la Marquise Brown, or they're just injury plagued and they can't get on the
Jackson.
field. Yes, yeah, that's what I meant. Just I don't understand. It's like seems to be some sort of curse. And look, Ozzie Newsome is gone, man, and he was I think a more integral part of this organization than people realized. And I think we're starting to now really see. I mean, it's what now the second season without Newsome, third season. Not
second.
sure. And I think we're starting to see the impact of without having that that clear leader at the head of your organization that is sort of bringing stability.
Yeah, like I watched Lamar Jackson just like, this is the guy. This is the guy that wants a fully guaranteed contract. Good luck. Conversely, though, at least he might have a job in the NFL next year. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand,
Baker Mayfield's going to make a lot of money calling football games on Saturday afternoons next year.
That's pretty good guess. He's getting benched for Sam Darnold this week.
Things are so dire that they're looking to Sam Darnold to save the day.
I mean, I'm on the show, so we're going to talk more about the Browns. I can't help it. The Baker Mayfield thing, talk about a guy just sort of making all the wrong decisions, right? The butterfly effect of him deciding to grit it out and play last season has potentially cost this guy millions and millions of dollars. I mean, if Baker Mayfield just decides to sit out with his injury, who knows what happens with the contract in Cleveland, or whether Cleveland decides to go out and get Deshaun Watson. I think that's that guy. I think he bet on himself, and it didn't pan out for him, and now he's in
house one.
He's getting benched.
The house cleared. Like it's not even close.
PJ Walker and Sam Darnold, and you have to wonder. I do think that Baker Mayfield probably, we're joking that he'll be out of the league. I don't think that's the case. I think
he won't be.
I honestly think Baker Mayfield probably has a future as some sort of Colt McCoy.
I was gonna say Matt Barkley was who I was gonna compare him to.
Backup quarterback. I think that's probably what Baker Mayfield's future looks like. But as someone that really doesn't have a lot of animosity towards Baker, despite everything that went down in Cleveland, like I wanted him to have some sort of success in Carolina. I wanted him to sort of land on his feet, and it's been a bummer to see that the opposite of that happen. And what a mess in Carolina.
No, and I mean, forget Sam Darnold. They should go get Josh Rosen. Get the trifecta. 2018 draft
Get
QBs.
those guys all on the same team, and yeah, like just for the laughs, like it'd be that Paul Rudd meme, like who would have thought?
Yeah.
Not me. Like those three sitting around in the locker room while PJ Walker's playing.
Yeah. Carolina, if you only had an offense. Moving on to a team on a big upswing, the other one driving the greatest tank this century has ever seen. The Commies versus the Texans.
First things first, the Commies, for 2 weeks in a row, this defense is coming alive.
They are.
They did really well against the
They had
Eagles.
Chase Young back this game?
No, he's coming back this week.
That's so strange that they're playing this well without their best player.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were a good. They're like, as you said, they're a really strong defensive team.
Under the radar, good.
Yeah, and look, they've been playing scrappy all season long, and I think they got some good playmakers in Terry McLaurin, and I don't know. I think that the Commanders clearly are one of these teams that sort of like the Jets. Like if the right quarterback situation was there, this team could compete on another level than what they've already been sort of doing decently at. So
at this point, the record doesn't show it yet, but I think they're a better team than the Giants right now. They definitely have the stronger defense.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that as well. I as you said, I think the record doesn't show it, but I would take them if they were to play this coming week. Are they playing this coming week?
They are. Yeah, there's no buys this week, so yes, they are playing.
They are playing Indianapolis. No.
They play. The Commanders play the Giants on December 4th. So
they're playing the Falcons this week.
Falcons next week,
which is a winnable game.
Which is a super winnable game, and then they meet the Giants, and the way that those teams have been playing, I take the Commanders over the Giants.
The Commanders, like, I don't even know if I'd call it sneaking in. Like, they can right now control their destiny and just march right into the play.
But also,
the NFC is so weak.
This team has looked so much different under Taylor Heineke than Carson Wentz.
They're willing themselves to victory. Like you mentioned Terry McLaurin, and that guy. If I'm building if there's a handful of players I could build an offense around, that's one of the guys I lead off with, because man, he just comes out and does whatever's asked of him, and he's played one of the grittiest players I've seen this whole season, especially at the wide receiver position.
Moving on to our next game on the docket. They're back, baby.
Broncos country, let's ride.
That's right. The Denver Broncos.
The man who doesn't sleep.
The man who does doing high knees in the air right now.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I think that's the problem. Just take a nap, Russ. Like
that's the reason.
You're sleep deprived. Like you clearly, they say that people do not make good decisions without proper sleep, and I think maybe that's what's happening in the case of Russell Wilson.
Here's the crazy thing. Denver's defense has actually been super solid this year. Yeah. I read if they could only put up 18 points every single game this year, they'd be, I think it said 7-2.
Yeah.
So, and they just get stuck at 16 points every week, it seems, and you lose by one score. And holy crap, like, how did this happen? Like, seriously, how did this happen to the Broncos?
I mean, the Raiders basically kept things simple, right? They were just feeding Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams during this game. Those are guys that can break the game if they get enough touches. So they just didn't do anything stupid. Then Max Crosby, once again, is just their best defender. And, I think in this game I read he had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, a blocked field
goal.
You know, this guy's
you put out of his mind this game.
Yeah. So the Raiders are also an extremely frustrating team for a lot of reasons. But you know, if they follow that script, that's their recipe for success. That's how and especially over a team that is going to struggle on offense the way that the Broncos have been.
I'll tell you what, I knew the Broncos were going to lose the second they put up 16. The second they scoreboard read 16 points to the Broncos, I knew they were going to lose. I didn't know how, but I knew they were going to lose. The game ended up going to overtime, and Devontae Adams caught the most wide open pass of his entire career.
How do you leave him that open? Of all receivers in the league, Devontae Adams, you just let run wild.
Yeah, I mean, those are those situations that I can't understand it. It's like, like you said, how do you leave that guy open? You know, that's the one guy that you should be, you know, like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm, man. You got to be on that dude.
Yeah, funniest stat about this game, when Josh McDaniels was the Broncos head coach, they started off 6-0. The Broncos in the last 3 years are 0-6 versus the Raiders with Josh McDaniels as the head coach. Doesn't matter where he is. Josh McDaniels is still finding a way to help the Broncos lose. So yeah, that's basically all I got to say about this game. Well, actually, we do have one more thing to say.
Broncos country, let's ride.
It's so frustrating to like talk about some of these teams right now. Like there are so many. I feel like I had last season. It felt like all the teams were really exciting to watch and talk about, and now they're just like
slugs.
Yeah, some of these teams are just an absolute like chore to watch this year. The Broncos, as we've already identified, absolutely one of them.
They're terrible, and they kept getting prime time. That's the thing that was the worst part about it.
Yeah, right. I think they had like 5 primetime games in the first 6 weeks.
It was ridiculous.
Like 4 or 5, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the NFL media folks, thought that Russ in Denver was going to be this like cool new era.
We all did.
I don't know if I did, but
Homer Simpson knew.
Yeah. They kind of put all their chips on in that basket, and man, that gamble misfired.
Oh, the Denver Broncos.
Moving on to our next game. This is our upset of the week. It's the Cowboys versus the Vikings, not by virtue of the fact we didn't think the Cowboys could win.
Because I called that last week.
It's how they won that makes this the upset.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think anyone thought that the Vikings were going to get beat down the way that
I picked the Vikings to win. I thought the Cowboys had a shot. I didn't think they beat them this badly.
It was so bad that CBS cut this game like 5 minutes into the third quarter and switched over to the Bengals.
It's to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, for the national feed. It was the third quarter they gave up on the game.
Yeah, this was
particularly interesting too because the Vikings were like sort of riding high. They had won 7 games in a row. Like
beat Buffalo in fantastic fashion.
Yeah, they had that. They were probably your guys' pick for game of the week last week. You know, it's just really the swing. I think was what made this the most surprising.
Yeah, like the team went from looking like a genuine world beater and a bona fide Super Bowl contender, just looked like complete and utter trash. Kirk Cousins was sacked 7 times in this game, the most ever been sacked in one game in his career, and was pressured on 67% of his dropbacks. So yeah, Kirk did. Perk Thuggins was not present today. No, instead we got Kirk Cousins. Primetime Kirk Cousins at 4:00. It's like he's progressively getting worse. Just like, okay, well, he can't play in primetime. Okay, well, no, we'll put him in. Okay, so afternoon's fine. Afternoon's not working.
No, he's got to only play at 1:00. He can only play.
Eventually, 1:00 not going to work either.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about like what the Cowboys did right. Zeke out the last 2 weeks, comes back this week. We got that twin-headed running attack from the Cowboys.
Pollard looked really good.
Pollard looked insane.
you know, and yeah, they just found they found their formula, which is running the ball, you know, pounding the defense, just relentless. It's surprising how, you know, as as the NFL has become increasingly more high flying and sort of the game has been stretched vertically, how it seems like the teams that have these twin running back where you have these two pillars in your backfield, how that's really a way to break games and a difference maker as sort of the rest of the teams get smaller and faster.
Something I didn't realize Kirk Cousins had a worse QBR than Zach Wilson.
He did, which is
Kirk Cousins
insane.
QBR of 14.9, which is oof.
Now,
Yeah,
Nick, you mentioned the two-headed running back attack. That is what the entire NFC East is doing, because well, the Eagles, it's three-headed, and then the Cowboys have their two, arguably the two best. Commanders got Gibson and Robinson going right now. And then you've got on the Giants, even though Barkley's the lead, they still got Breda playing at a pretty high level as well. So all four of those teams, if you look at what they're doing, a lot of it is on the ground. So I agree with you.
And some of those cases too, it's necessitated by poor QB play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in Dallas's case, it's, you know, their offense operates the way it does because you have to respect the run game, and then you do have a QB that can make plays with his arm.
And that's what happens with Dallas is what they run the ball, and then CD Lamb catches a 60-yard touchdown. So,
yeah, Dallas. Begrudgingly say Dallas did look pretty good this week.
They are, you know, considering the state of the NFC, that's a team you really got to keep your eyes on at this point. I think.
Yeah,
them and the 49ers.
I'm looking forward to the rematch between them and the Eagles.
It's at least this coming week we got Dallas the Giants, classic Thanksgiving Day game. Actually, one that feels a little exciting this year. Two teams that are the Giants, like we said, we kind of feel like they're a little bit of imposters, but they do have a solid record, and the Cowboys sort of seem to be surging at the right time. So
putting things together, you know, obviously that loss to Green Bay, I think that was a wake up call for them. The Cowboys I wouldn't want to play them right now.
No, but hey, it is Dallas. We all know it's gonna collapse at some point.
It's the first round.
Yeah,
first round, second the playoffs start, they're gonna collapse. We all know it. All right. Next, fine. I guess it's my turn. Let's talk about the Bengals versus the Steelers.
All right. I want to ask you a question because I saw this trending on Twitter today.
Okay.
What is Kenny Pickett's ceiling as a quarterback in your mind?
I honestly, and like this is not me
comparable to another QB.
Right. I was going to do that. This is not me looking with rotating glasses. It's like genuine things capable of. I honestly think he could be like a Joe Burrow level type of quarterback. Like he's got the good legs, he's got the arm. I think if he can develop, once he develops, gets decision making better, like get that stuff, I think he'll be fine. Right now, the reason he's in is because we couldn't trust Trubisky. Our other option wasn't working. That's the only reason. So, I do think Kenny Pickett is I think he is going to be the guy. It's just a matter of when he ends up being that guy. And keep in mind, this is an organization that does not take first-round QBs often, and every single time they've hit him. It would take Bradshaw, Ben Roethlisberger, and I got Kenny Pickett. So I got to trust in the system. That being said, the Steelers are a frustrating team this season. The reason for that is we piss games away like they're nothing. This is the fifth game this year that we very easily could have won that we managed to piss away. Why? Again, offensive scheming sucks. Please get rid of Matt Canada. I swear to God, he comes back next year, I'm gonna flip my shit. I swear. Defense can't hold forever. The defense first time of football, we played excellent. I don't care if we gave 17. We responded on offense, which is something we haven't done all year. That's to me the symbol of growth. and the symbol of the offense, Kenny Pickett and his offensive weapons getting more comfortable. Najee's running better. George Pickens is becoming a stud in the making. Can't wait till he becomes an All-Pro, runs himself out of town in 5 years. It's gonna be great. Can't wait. But when the game is on the line, our offensive scheming just really falls short. And again, it's Joe Burrow. You cannot hold him down forever. That's what we saw here. Like we had it. We were up at half. All we had to do was just keep our foot on the fucking gas, and we couldn't do it.
Yeah. But TJ Watt back this week.
This is not on you, TJ. I still love you. Never leave.
But really seemed like he immediately made an impact, right?
He did. No, like you saw that even last week. Like our defense just plays better when TJ Watt's on the field. I can't explain it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's just night and day, right? When he's out there and when he's not. And Fitzpatrick now back healthy as well.
Yes, finally back from his appendectomy.
The Steelers defense is back to what it should have been all season. But still, you're like you said, you can't keep that like high flying Bengals offense down for too long.
Yeah, we need to beef up our second. We need to beef up our secondary. We do some better cornerbacks. I like our cornerbacks. We don't have anybody that can hold down an elite weapon. We let the same dude run up on us for 3 touchdowns. Samaje Perine. A guy who sounds like he just took random letters from the alphabet soup in a random order, and then just like, that's his name. Cool. Who the fuck is Samaje Perine? Why is he scoring 3 touchdowns? The point is, look, we look, run defense, it showed up. Pass defense, needs some work. But the overall point of this is, what it is? Steelers got Super Bowl. No, I'm joking. But yeah, this is look, it's not over the fat lady sings, but she's warming up right now. Lizzo's getting prepped. Jennifer Hudson's putting the weight back on.
I can't say that I have not been enjoying seeing the Steelers flounder a little bit this year. The first time in recent memory. I mean,
we haven't had a truly awful season in a very long time.
Very long time.
Like, even when you guys have been like sort of an 8-8 team, the fan base was really restless, and it seems like, restless. And it seems like this year, though, the fan base is sort of giving the team sort of the benefit of the doubt and allowing them to sort of breathe and sort of figure out what they're going to be.
Keep in mind, like we also like had the end of like a massive era. Like Ben Roethlisberger was like QB for the past like decade and a half. He's gone. Yeah. Like one of the last remaining connections to our last Super Bowl era, I should say, is gone. We're having to rebuild. We have a squad full of young players, an offense full of young players. We're trying to cohesion, come together. So yeah, it is a process. Every team goes through it. We've just been lucky enough to kind of avoid that, just because, like, again, under Tomlin, the worst we've ever done is like 8-8.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, could this be his first losing season? Possibly. I have faith in Coach D to put it together.
Like Tomlin is someone that takes a lot of the blame for whenever there's.
He takes accountability, which is what I like about him.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. I admire, even if I hate the Steelers, I admire the man a lot. And Pickens, like you said, some guy that was sort of a troubled presence in college, and I don't think he was going to be a guy who would have worked on any NFL team. I think if George Pickens goes to an organization like the Browns, that situation completely implodes at some point. But Mike Tomlin was like one of the only head coaches that I could think of that could take a player in like that and sort of deal with the personality and get the results. Because I think that he's been so exciting to watch. And if there has been one takeaway from the Steelers games this year, is that guy is legitimate and is going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be a problem for the Browns for
the Steelers wide receiver character issues are like the most iconic combination in the NFL right now. Whether it's AB, whether it's Mike Wallace, whether it's Antonio Holmes, like doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your character issues are. We'll take you on. We'll make you a stud until you leave, and then you're nothing.
The one thing too that hasn't been brought up yet, The Steelers have an underrated stud in the making. They have what I think right now is the best safety net in football in Freiermuth, because that guy,
Freiermuth is going to be a top 5 tight end.
He hasn't gotten into the end zone much this year, but whenever Pickett needs something quick, it's Freiermuth, and he's reliable.
Like Freiermuth to me is like the next coming of Heath Miller. Like
I agree.
love having.
It's a good
Freiermuth
comparison.
Yeah, I feel like we should talk about the Bengals a bit. Another team that seems to be having a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover this season. They've been good in fits and starts. They got absolutely beat down by the Browns on Monday night on Halloween, which really they were missing a few key players in that game, but still was really like seemed to be sort of a rock bottom moment for them, and now put up an impressive performance last week. Same thing here this week, but just consistency seems to be their issue, right? And protecting the quarterback. Joe Burrow has been sacked. I think might have changed this week after Cousins sacked 7 times, but Joe Burrow is among the most sacked quarterbacks in the league.
I still think he's still among the most sacked.
So he can't keep taking these hits forever, man.
No.
It doesn't matter how good
He is currently the second most sacked quarterback in the league.
Yeah, so the protection issues for the Bengals, I think, is where a lot of the issues are, and then just not a very sturdy defense that doesn't hold up to scrutiny. So
we put up 30 points, which we haven't done in what feels like forever, and we managed to waste that performance. Good job. All right, moving on. This is our game of the week. This is a no-brainer. It was the Sunday night game, Chiefs versus Chargers. Fun fact about this game that I didn't know: every single match between Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert has been settled by 1 score. Every single one.
And here's the thing: we're 2 weeks in a row now that the Chargers have come out on fire on their first drive, and then stall out, and then somehow find their footing again at the end. They're still doing this. Mike Williams gets hurt again. Keenan Allen was basically out there as a decoy, and somehow Josh Palmer is lighting the world on fire this week. However, they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and the most uncoverable player in football, Travis Kelce.
Well, no, the Chargers had one job coming into this game: cover Travis Kelce. They said, nah.
Yeah, you got Mecole Hardman is hurt this week. Juju Smith-Schuster is also on the bench. So you're
Tony hurts himself again.
Yeah, so you're depleted at wide receiver, and so like you said, all you really got to do is you gotta step up and cover Travis Kelce, and
they didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah. Kelce went for six receptions for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, beating Gronk's record for most multi-touchdown games for a tight end.
Kelce is like on his own planet in his position this year. There is nobody in football who is at his position that much better than the number 2 than Travis Kelce is right now.
Absolutely. And, another thing to think about here is that Patrick Mahomes is now, I read 14-0 in the AFC
against the division.
Yep. He's 14-0 on the road. He's never lost a road game to the AFC West,
which is absurd. Which is absolutely absurd.
Overall, he is 24-3 against the AFC West, which is the greatest start for any quarterback ever within their division.
Yeah, I mean he's a frustrating guy, and look, the Chargers also are the Chargers, so they will find a way to lose.
They had a chance to win the game. Herbie was fully loaded, ready to drive down the field, but he stalls out.
Yeah, just absolutely cursed when it comes to the end of the game. Look, yeah. And the Chargers, it's been a weird season. Their big playmakers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have been hurt. They're both back this week. So they did seem to sort of gain a pep in their step. Those guys really did, I think, give them a lift this week. And as you said, Josh Palmer kind of playing out of his mind.
Now, here's my question for you guys: do you think at the end of his rookie deal, you think Justin Herbert leaves the Chargers? Because if I'm Herbert, because like what Herbert to me looks like right now, he looks like the next Phillip Rivers, which is what I mean that is a guy who is going to be incredible, be one of the better quarterbacks of his era, but because he's a Charger, will never win a Super Bowl. Like if you're Herbert, do you see having Phillip Rivers and be like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I don't know. If I was looking around at the rest of the league and I'm Justin Herbert, I'd be like, get me to the NFC. I just look around at sort of the Bills, even the Dolphins are on the upswing. The AFC North, say whatever we will about, the Browns and the Bengals and the Ravens and the Steelers, but they're always sort of hard to. One of those teams is always going to be competitive. And then the AFC South really is maybe the other sort of landing spot if I'm Justin Herbert, that maybe I go to a team
Tennessee.
in that. Yeah.
Tennessee would be interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's too early to start talking about Justin Herbert leaving the Chargers. I just think that they have this boogeyman in Patrick Mahomes that they just can't really get around, and I don't know what's going to change for them anytime soon. It's
the Chiefs on paper this year have the worst roster they've had since Mahomes has been a starter, and he's still dominating. So,
yeah, as well. Hot take: Mahomes, pretty good at football. Pretty good.
He's pretty decent football player.
He's all right. And last game we're talking about today, special occasion for the NFL. That's right, Mexico Bowl finally happens. As the 49ers versus the Cardinals.
It's unfortunate that one of the players on that poster was not actually playing in this game.
Two of them weren't playing in this game, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say
two biggest faces on the posters were not playing.
So, I don't know if there's...
No. That's what we advertised. Instead, we got Jimmy G versus Colt McCoy.
Yeah. The 49ers look, no surprise that they kind of trounced the Cardinals in this under this situation. The 49ers, after adding Christian McCaffrey, look pretty good.
I think they're the team to beat in the NFC right now. They are the team that is the most built to make a run.
Yeah. And we also give a shout to this game. It was our first Stonks player of the week. Jimmy Jesus has risen again, coming in with a 4-touchdown performance. Something we don't think Jimmy G threw touchdowns, but 4 of them in this game. It was something special.
Now, granted, George Kittle turned one of those was a big yards after the catch by Kittle, but the two plays to Ayuk were gorgeous throws. So you do have to give Garoppolo a lot of credit.
Funny part about this game was when he scored a touchdown, threw the ball, and just beamed the dude in the nuts.
Yeah. On the flip side, the Arizona Cardinals maybe don't invite cameras into your locker room if you're going to have this much turmoil in your organization this year. One story that I want to bring up is that the Arizona Cardinals relieved their offensive line coach / running game coordinator, Sean Kugler, on Sunday after the game due to an incident that occurred in Mexico City.
Which they are being tight-lipped about exactly what it is. Please be on Hard Knocks next week. Please be on Hard Knocks.
Please.
What do we think
this man did? I did not know Sean Kugler was coaching there.
Yeah, what do we think this man did?
Cocaine and hookers.
Yeah, God only knows, but it happened abruptly.
Yes.
What the hell did Sean Kugler do to get fired so quickly? Oh, please be on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, there's just Arizona had the worst yards after the catch defense in the NFL. The worst performance in the NFL so far this year. The 49ers bludgeoned them with 152 yards after the catch. San Francisco averaged more yards after the catch than the league worst average, which was the Cardinals. They gave up a 7.6 yards after the catch when Arizona was already giving up 6.3 yards on average after a catch. So can't win football games when you're giving up, and basically every time someone catches the ball, you're giving away. If you figure that most NFL passes go for at least 1 yard, you're pretty much making
almost a first down every catch.
Yeah, can't win football games that way. So
San Francisco's defense is really starting to look stout. That defensive line is among the best in football, if not the best in football. They're firing on all cylinders, and you're looking at two completely opposite teams. Maybe if Kyler was in this game, it might have been a little different. I don't think it would have changed much, honestly, because with the injuries that the Cardinals had. Sure, Hopkins did what Hopkins does every game, but they pulled him in the fourth quarter because he was already coming into the game hurt. He was questionable going in. He didn't play in the fourth quarter, and the rest of the team, there's not much that they have to offer against a defense like that.
Yeah, no, the Cardinals are just looking awful, and the fact, funny thing about this is that they extended Kingsbury before the season even started.
I am just. Please let us see the head coach get fired on Hard Knocks. Please let us see the head coach fired on Hard Knocks. It'll be the best episode ever.
But that's gonna do it for the week that was. We now look forward to the week that is, week 12. Now, starting off Thursday, now we got a triple header because it is Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving, because this is a week our predictions plus our segment stonks or not stonks, where I throw out a player name and you tell me whether or not they are stonks. So first game we have Thanksgiving part 1. We got the Bills, who we forgot to mention, were snowed out of their stadium this past week. So they played their home game in Detroit, which is funny because a team won at home in Detroit and the Lions went on the road the same day.
Yep.
Taking on the Detroit Lions at their actual home.
Could be some fireworks in this game, I think. We could get treated to a fair amount of points in this game. It's hard not to pick Buffalo, but I think Detroit's going to put up a fight.
I think so too. I think that there is a potential for an upset in this game. That being said, I do think that Josh Allen seemed to get back on the right track against a baby soft Browns defense, and now I think can probably do enough to get the win over the Detroit Lions. But as you said, I do think it's going to be competitive. I don't think it'll be a blowout, or if it is a blowout, I don't think it'll happen until the second half of the game.
Scrappy defense, but I'm also going the Bills. Now, then I'm going to throw out for you Stephon Diggs.
Love him in this game. Love him.
Stonks, yeah, especially after last week where he was a little frustrated during the game. As soon as he started getting more touches, the Bills offense was able to get going. So I think we'll see more of that this coming week.
I'm going to give you one other name too, Gabe Davis. I see a huge Gabe Davis play coming on Thursday.
If he could catch the ball.
I'll go. Yeah, if he can catch, if he can develop hands for Thanksgiving, I will go stonks on Gabe Davis. Next question. Next game we're talking about Thanksgiving part 2. The Giants versus the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think we talked about this one a little bit already. I think this has the potential to be an upset here, just based on record alone. I think the Cowboys get it done at home on Thanksgiving.
I agree. I got the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to outright run away with it, but they're going to win steadily. This is going to be more than a touchdown win for them, I think.
All right. Something comes over this franchise on Thanksgiving. I don't know what it is, but they just forget how to play. They've lost 3 Thanksgivings in a row. So this is not just personal bias. I'm actually going Giants. Now for this game, I'm throwing at you guys Saquon Barkley.
He's going to be on the borderline, I think. Like, he's going to have an okay game, but I'm actually, based on what the Giants are going to expect from him, I'm going not stonks.
Yeah, I think in this scenario, I like Saquon Barkley, right? But I think in this scenario, I don't think he's going to be having a great game. I think he's going to come up against Micah Parsons, who I think is one of the best linebackers in the league, and I think Micah Parsons keeps Saquon Barkley from having a big breakout game.
Okay, so are we saying not stunks?
I'm going not.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna say not in this scenario.
Not stunks.
Right. But it's like not going to be like he's putting up 20 yards. I just don't think he's going to put up 100.
All right, and Thursday night, Thanksgiving Part 3, Patriots versus the Vikings.
Everyone's going to be asleep from tryptophan, and this is going to help with the nap.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings bounce back this week, especially after getting embarrassed like they did on Sunday.
Yeah, I like the Vikings in this one as well.
My only reservation is this: it's prime time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you there. Low scoring game coming up. If they can get Justin Jefferson the ball enough times and allow. The key to this game for either team is going to be possession of the ball. Keep the other defense on the field and wear them out. Whichever team does that better is going to win. I think it's going to be the Vikings in a very low-scoring game.
Yeah, I don't think that Dalvin Cook's going to be able to get it going in this game against the Patriots.
It's a really good Patriots run defense. It really is.
Yeah, they really stacked the box well. You brought up how Nick Chubb this past week was stuffed by the Buffalo Bills. The only other defense that's really given Nick Chubb trouble this season was the Patriots front four. So, yeah, I think that it's going to come down to, like you said, Kirk Cousins being able to get the ball to.
So my question is actually the man himself. You go both going Vikings, but Kirk Cousins stunks.
I mean, it's Kirk Cousins elite is what we.
He's become the new Joe Flacco. I feel like
is what the real question is. Kirk Cousins is not stonks.
I agree.
Is
what time is it? Oh yeah, no, not stonks at all. All right, next game moving on our Sunday slate. Nick, your boys are back up. We got the Buccaneers versus the Browns.
So Deshaun Watson is taking first team reps at practice this week. If that tells you anything about how the Browns are preparing for the Buccaneers.
First team reps with the QB who can't even play.
So look, the Buccaneers are an extremely up and down team. Tom Brady's got big divorce guy energy this year. So it's going to come down to whether that Mike Evans Tom Brady connection is working or not. If it's not, the Browns potentially have the chance to eke out a win here, but I'm going Buccaneers.
I agree with the Bucs on this one, and you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to bring up Mike Evans myself. I think he is one of the biggest keys to the game. The interesting thing that I want to see this week is there is talks that Rachaad White's going to be the lead back for the Bucs, and the way Brady's been playing this year, I think if they lean on him a little bit more, they could actually get more than they were getting out of Fournette. Fournette, he was doing bizarrely okay in the passing game, but just could not get the run game going whatsoever. And
but if there's a team to get back on track, to get your running game back on track, it's against this Cleveland Browns defense who cannot stop anybody on the ground.
I agree with you on that, and I think again another game. I think it's going to be a fairly low score, but I'm going to go with the Bucs.
All right, and then I'm going to throw out you guys. This is one, Chubby.
Nick Chubb is definitely stonks. I think that
I think so.
I think Nick Chubb is. I know that you said that Derrick Henry pulled ahead in the the yards situation here for the top of the league this year. But I think Nick Chubb is, in my opinion, the best running back in the league.
He's in the conversation, absolutely.
I think one bad week against the Bills isn't a reason to sell on Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is stonks, and all it takes is just one bad arm tackle, and that guy can break away. If you want to talk about yards after contact, this man is just an absolute beast when it comes to that. So yeah, Nick Chubb is one of the few bright spots on this sort of bizarre Cleveland Browns team.
All right, next game we got the Bengals versus no, wait, that's not right. Oh, wait,
Titans.
Yep.
Bengals Titans.
I'm fixing that right now. There we go. Bengals versus Titans.
I think that this is a sort of a nightmare matchup for the Bengals, honestly. I think that the Titans defense is going to cover their playmakers well. I think that they're going to be getting to Joe Burrow. I don't believe in the Bengals offensive line to be able to stop the rushing attack from the Titans. And if Ryan Tannehill can be what he was this past week, I think that the Bengals are going to have a rough time with the Titans. That being said, the last time that these two teams met was in January of last year in the playoffs. It came down to a field goal, a late Ryan Tannehill threw an interception that led to a 52-yard field goal. Ryan Tannehill has said that he needed to go to therapy to get over that interception in that game. So I think this is a chance, I think, for Ryan Tannehill to redeem himself. I'm going Titans this week against the Bengals.
I like the Titans in this game too. A lot of the reasons you just said, you hit the nail on the head. The uncertainty of Joe Mixon this week is,
Jamar Chase too.
Yeah, so you got arguably your two biggest playmakers on the team, both questionable to play. I don't. P. Ryan is not going to do what he did last week. I don't see a scenario. If Mixon's out and Chase is out, I don't see any scenario that the Bengals are going to be able to stop them. And with their defense, Derrick Henry is going to run all over them. And then all of a sudden, like I mentioned earlier, I think Treylon Burks is also going to get some wide open plays because they're going to be so concerned about Henry.
All right, now for this one, he's the biggest question mark in this one. Ryan Tannehill. We're getting Ryan Tannehill. We're getting Ryan Tannehill.
I like him in this game.
In this game, like I said, I think Ryan Tannehill. Look, him and his therapist have been talking about beating the Bengals all year long. So I'm gonna say I think he's gonna show up and have a good game.
So we're calling stonks.
Yeah,
stonks for. I never thought I'd say it, but we are calling stonks for Ryan Tannehill.
All right. Well, this next game is going to be ugly. Texans versus Dolphins.
Biggest blowout of the week.
Probably.
For certain.
Yeah, I think it's clearly the Dolphins that are going to take this one.
By like 20. This is not going to be close.
The Texans
it's pointless to ask anybody about the Dolphins, but I'll throw out Dameon Pierce.
If he can do it in the first quarter.
I think the fact that he's been the way that he's played on a really bad team that's obviously trying to tank, I think that has been really admirable. But I think if he can get going early against this Dolphins defense that maybe has a chance. I don't know. I don't really know what to say in this. I don't want to say not stonks, but I don't want to say I'm just staying away from anything Texans.
Oh, come on. You can't do this. You can't do this.
I'm going to say he's going to get stopped. I think he finds the end zone at the very least. They don't get shut out. He's the guy who's going to score.
God, stonks enough. All right. Next one, JETS. Jets versus PLD.
So this one, I do not want to pick this until I know on both teams who's quarterbacking.
That's true because Justin Fields was. I think he's currently dealing with an injury as well.
Dislocated left shoulder.
Yeah.
Assuming that Justin Fields does play, I think this is my upset of the week. I think the Bears go to East Rutherford and take and upset the Jets at home on Darrell Revis getting inducted into the Jets Hall of Fame.
It's really like, I think if it's Fields against Wilson, I'm going the Bears. If it's Fields against Flacco, I don't know. If it's Simeon in there, period, I'm going Jets.
Okay. Well, no matter who's quarterbacking, I'm gonna say okay. Let's just because as currently Zach Wilson is listed as the starter. If he's playing, is he stunks?
God, and like this is like quite possibly the worst defense in football. If you can't do it against them, you can't do it against anybody.
So he stunks out of like he better be stunks.
Well, I don't even know if I'd call it that. I think that if he is in the game, it's gonna be the James Robinson and Michael Carter show. If it's Wilson in the game, if it's Flacco in the game, you might see more going to Wilson, Berrios, and the tight ends. But I'm gonna say no, not stonks if it's Wilson.
Yeah, absolutely not stonks.
Wow. All right. My how the turns have tabled. All right. Next one. Two teams that are fighting for their playoff lives somehow. The Falcons versus the Commies.
I like the Commies. I think they've got the momentum building. They've got the defense is really coming around right now.
Nick. Just that face rub.
This is just a game that I sort of couldn't care less about if I'm being honest with myself. But I agree with you. Yeah, Chase Young coming back this week. The Commanders sort of seem like they got a good energy. The Falcons just are clearly in a weird tanking holding period. Mariota is not the future of the team, and everybody knows it. I don't know what we're doing there. I'm taking the Commanders.
Actually,
stock up on your Commanders defense. If you can get them in fantasy, stock up on them. I think they're going to have another big game.
Well, first of all, sorry, I forgot to bring this up. We got to consult the coin for the last match.
It's a loss, if I'm not mistaken.
The coin does have you losing.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, for this one, actually, Chase Young's name I'm going to throw out. Yeah, his first game back this season. Stunks or not stunks?
Oh, I love him. If Chase Young against that offensive line, stunks.
Yeah, and especially with the way that the rest of the Washington Commanders defense has been playing, I think you plug that guy into that defense and it just takes them up another level. So yeah, totally stonks.
All right. Up next on the docket,
Broncos country, let's do this.
The Broncos taking on the Panthers. Possibly the only team that can make their offense look competent.
I'm hoping for power outages for the feed from the stadium, so we just don't get any clips.
Sam Darnold looks like a Lego person. That's I don't know. That I have nothing. This is what team is going to be less inept? My gut tells me that it'll be the Broncos.
I got Broncos 16, Panthers 10.
Wins out the awful or the even more awful. All right.
But just you know who loses? Anybody watching this game.
Okay, so I think I know the answer to this, but Russell Wilson is not stunk in this game.
I think that there's a possibility that Sam Darnold, just because the Broncos maybe aren't maybe Sam Darnold can surprise the Broncos defense. I don't know. That sounds ridiculous to say out loud. I don't know. Who cares? Really?
Pretty much.
I'm only picking a winner because I have to. So yeah, Broncos, I think.
Fair enough. All right. Next up, Ravens versus Jaguars. Excuse me.
I think even the Ravens' weird funk that seems to be like building in Baltimore isn't enough to allow them to lose to the Jaguars. I think I have the Ravens still in this game.
The Jaguars are like the opposite of Cleveland. They can't start games. They become exciting in the second half, but I'm also going to go with the Ravens in this one. Probably in the neighborhood of a 5-6 point win for the Ravens. I got.
All right. Now this is a big one for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson.
I like him.
Stonks, yeah. I don't know. Lamar, will he be, the Lamar that we've seen, like the sort of dynamic running and slinging the ball Lamar Jackson, or is he going to have that weird energy, like sort of discontent that we've sort of seen him with all year? I don't know. But I'd still say against the Jaguars, stonks.
All right. Up next, Chargers versus Cardinals. And Modern Warfare 2 is still firmly playing, so, Kyler could still be out.
Easy win for the
double XP weekend, because
yeah,
I don't know, but yeah, I think it's the Chargers here. Mike Williams and Keenan. I don't know what the status is on those guys because I think Mike Williams exited the game.
Keenan Allen's closely healthy. Mike Williams questionable.
Yeah, I think with Keenan Allen back, I think the Chargers sort of cruise to a victory in this one.
Big game from Austin Eckler coming up in this one. I got the Chargers.
I was going to throw him out there, actually. So, Austin Eckler, you got Stunks?
Oh, I love Austin Eckler this week.
All right, going Stunks. All right, next game, still on Sunday. Raiders versus Seahawks coming off a bye.
I think that Geno Smith is maybe like the story of the year. Like,
he's up there
right now, like, or at least one of them. Like, who saw this coming? And like, if anyone said that they predicted this, I would call them a liar to their face. I think that it's been really fun, and Pete Carroll, man, still got the juice as far as, he's how old at this point, but and
70 something.
They cut bait with Russell Wilson at the right time, and another team, we've used the word scrappy a lot, but another team that I would describe as like pretty scrappy has been able to sort of win big games against
seemingly better teams.
Yeah, the Chargers. They were able to beat they beat the Broncos, but I don't know. They were able to beat the Giants, so they've just been playing well lately. Their last couple string of games, they've been putting up a good amount of points. The Raiders, I don't know. Does the Seahawks defense have enough to cover that bread and butter of Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams? Is the real question. I don't know.
This could be a higher scoring game than you realize. Like, I think Kenneth Walker could run wild on this Raiders defense, and what you just said is 100% true. The Jacobs and Adams, if they utilize them right, I could see this easily being both teams in the high 20s, low 30s, looking in the neighborhood of 55 to 65 points on the board. I'm going to go Seahawks, but it's going to come down to the very end.
All right, and I'm going to throw out for this one. Let's go K9, Kenneth Walker.
I like him.
Yeah,
I like him a lot, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I got stonks on K9. Up next, a game that we thought would be a primetime match, but now we're going to be matches we're going to be desperate to see end. The Rams versus the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs easily roll to a win here, even with the sort of the lack of playmakers for for Patrick Mahomes, I just don't think anything's stopping that Mahomes-Kelsey connection. The Rams seem like they're going to be without Matt Stafford again this week. It's the Chiefs.
This is probably the easiest game of the week for me. It's easily the Chiefs. This is going to be, I think, they're going to attempt to make this everybody gets a touchdown week. Mahomes might throw 5 touchdowns to 5 different receivers just to get them all stats. It's going to be ugly.
All right, since Clyde Edwards-Helaire might be out, I'll throw out Isaiah Pacheco.
I like him in this game.
In this game, I like him, and I'm ready to see him sort of break out a little bit more.
Yeah, I got stonks on Pacheco, yeah.
Up next, we got the Saints versus the 49ers.
This 4 o'clock slate is terrible.
This 4 o'clock slate fucking sucks.
Yeah, like we said, I think the 49ers are maybe the best team in the NFC right now. I don't think that the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, is going to have anything that can stop the 49ers.
Easy win. This 49ers could be like 2 scores off turnovers in this one. Easy.
Okay.
I don't see any scenario the Saints win this game.
Okay, so you say Andy Dalton's not stunks.
Yeah.
Chris Olave, though, is he stunks?
He stunks. Yeah, it doesn't matter if he's throwing the ball. That dude seems to be making an impact.
Yeah, he's not enough to carry the team himself, but statistically, yeah, absolutely, he's going to be stonks.
All right. Sunday Night Football, got the Packers versus the Eagles.
This could be a trap.
Yeah,
very easily a trap.
I'm not feeling super confident in the Eagles here. Look, Aaron Rodgers has been really inconsistent. This Packers season has been really weird. I guess it turns out that like doing peyote maybe doesn't translate to like on-field success. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. His whole like weird late career like guy who carries crystals around thing, like it has been weird to watch. That being said, I think that the Eagles, this could be a letdown game for the Eagles wearing their fancy black uniforms. This is tough to call. I think I'm still going Eagles on this, but I think it's going to be close, and I'm not sure.
So you and I have been like very in sync a lot of our picks tonight. I also think we got a very close game here. I think the Eagles are better at closing games than almost any other team in the league. This could be a game where the Packers are up with less than 5 minutes to go and Jalen Hurts just takes over and wills them to victory. But the Packers, if they establish a run game early, which I think they will, can definitely, because again, like I said, the Commanders gave the blueprint to beat the Eagles, and that's just keep them off the field with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. If they can get them going, they can control the ball and force Hurts to win it at the end. I'm still slightly going towards the Eagles, but if the Packers win, I'm not calling it an upset.
All right, so then I'm going to throw out for this one, A.J. Brown.
Stonks, I think, in this game.
I'm actually going to go not stonks on this one.
Oh, we got one of each.
But on the same token, Green Bay's fairly decent because of Jair Alexander. But the other side of the field, Devontae Smith could run wild.
All right. And Monday Night Football, got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Indianapolis Colts.
One of the toughest games of the week to pick for me.
Yeah, like obviously teams that are not playing great football this season, but the Colts played much better than anyone expected last week, and so did the Steelers. So, this one is really tough to call. I think based on the performances from last week alone, I'm leaning towards the Colts, but I do think there's that TJ Watt factor where that guy can just wreck a game, and especially with an offense like the Colts, I think TJ Watt could be the difference maker in this game. So really tough to call. I think I'm leaning towards the Colts, but I would not be surprised with the Steelers' victory.
Well, Chance, I think you're going to be happy that I think the Steelers are going to get this one. I just have a feeling something about the Colts. Just I don't think that they're going to win the turnover battle. First things first. I actually think the Steelers will win the turnover battle in this game. It won't be crazy high scoring, and I just for whatever reason, it's a gut feeling on this one. I think Pittsburgh's going to win.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a low scoring game for sure. I think the total points will be definitely under 30. So we'll see.
I mean, y'all know where I'm going, and I'm also betting on we're gonna sack Matt Ryan. I'm on like Sam Ellinger, Matt Ryan. We're gonna sack Matt Ryan at least 5 times. And not even going to bother with the names because everyone on the Steelers is stunks and everyone on the other team is not. So that's going to do it for the end. That's going to do it for us here tonight. Nick, thank you for joining us. Where can we find you?
Thanks, guys. I had a lot of fun. You can find me on Twitter while it's still at Mick Marley. You can also read my stuff, not about sports, unfortunately, but about pop culture, TV, movies at denofgeek.com.
All right. Mike, you're a pleasure to head out.
Yep. So you can find me here every Tuesday night on Left Side Strong Side, and you can find me every Wednesday on What the Show podcast. And this week, this guy's going to be joining us. So we're gonna have some fun tomorrow night. So we'll be actually it's going to be a celebration stream because our biggest villain, Bob Chapek, is no longer in charge of Disney.
That'll be the mood this upcoming Wednesday. Got me at Twitter, Instagram, Chance_91. Check me out on my podcast, Toys by Chance. An episode on Thinner will be dropping tonight. And find me on his show tomorrow and find me on this show every Tuesday on this network. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.
Holy shit.